Hello, welcome back. We're here for the music, and it's gonna be a slightly shorter week than it has been for sure last week and the week before that. Mainly because, well, like I put in the description, I did not go back to July. I did not try to sift through that. I just said, to hell with it. August is a new month. Started on a Friday, so I'm going to try to, as I always do every single month, try to keep up with all the releases. I've done a pretty good job. I think I've seen the release schedule for tomorrow, and I have not seen anything major planned for tomorrow. So I'm thinking that I should be able to keep up with things pretty well. As it stands, we have only 9 releases. Wait, is that right? Does it not feel right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 10. That was my miscounting. Wait, how did that happen? Okay, anyway. I guess it probably comes down to the fact that I snuck one more album in this evening here as I was getting ready for everything. So it is a 50-50 split, and it's 50-50 in the sense that there is no electronic this week and there is no pop or indie. So I'm just going to be completely straightforward. This is a week where the releases are all going to be, at the start, rock and metal. And then in the second half, we are going to get into rap and hip hop. Although I feel like the final release is not quite rap. There's also a pop element to it as well. And I think the one that we end with today is kind of a special case. So we'll talk about that. But let me just go ahead and get our... yep, we're all good. Put this there. And excellent. All right, now I got to get the... I always play around with the microphone. I should have figured this out by now, but I think it's just like a nervous tick that I have where it's kind of more fun to play around with the microphone. Anyway, up first we have the EP. Some people would call it a single, but I'm going to call it an EP because it's like over 10 minutes, so I feel like that counts. Еще одна ночь is the EP, and the group is Save Room. Now, the first track here, like the first half minute of this EP, which is already quite short, I was thinking, just based on the sound, that this was going to be a rehashing of the alt metal sound of the 2000s. But not long after that, like literally around the 45-second mark, it became clear that this is Deftones core. And like, it's Deftones. Let's just be real. It's a group which, if you were to ask them about their musical influence, they would just say Chino. That's all they would have to say. And that's it. Because it is just straight up the Deftones sound. It's an amalgamation of the group's whole catalog. So if you have one specific Deftones sound that you're into, you're probably not going to exactly find it here. But if you like Deftones throughout their entire career, then you're going to enjoy this EP. I do have to give credit to mixing in sounds at times on this EP too that are a bit more reminiscent of Deftones' peers, musical peers at the start of their career. I feel like Edema and some of those other like alt metal adjacent groups from the early 2000s. Some of that sound is also present here, so it's not just like straight up Deftones knockoff. But yeah, anyway, with Chino and the crew getting ready to release a new album of their own later this year, this is something for anyone looking to hold themselves over. And I will say, personally, it does feel like it does lean a bit more towards Deftones' earlier sound. For sure. There is a lot more of that. Like, straight up the song Passagier is basically My Own Summer. The lyrics even have the car theme. But, whoa, that dropped. I'm going to just go ahead and play it so you can get the idea of what I'm talking about with Deftones. It's... It might not be My Own Summer, it might be... Oh, it is My Own Summer, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it is. That's Deftones. I'm sorry. But hey, we love Deftones. So. If you even look at the lyrics, if you can understand Russian, like it's got a lot of the be quiet and drive type of energy. Jump along to it. I don't want to leave it in any one spot for too long. But again, right, like this opening track had me thinking it was going to be more of like an alt metal sound, which I mean, I guess technically you could maybe call Deftones, but like I was just like, oh yeah, this is going to be like that new metal sound right here. But it was right around here with the vocals that I kind of understood that we were going the Deftones direction. I mean, I've been cycling as much as I can, given the weather in Moscow recently. I have a lot of Deftones on my cycling playlist, and so like listening to this EP was just hitting, I don't know, like those musical nerves that I have, musical buoys that are there. So yes, if you enjoy Deftones and you want something that is pretty close to that sound, but a little different and in Russian, then I would say that this is a pretty safe bet for you. Again, the name of the group is Save Room. It's kind of a new project here. And the EP is Еще одна ночь, or One More Night. But yes, moving on, we have a group whose name I don't know how to pronounce. I'm not even going to pretend to have any sort of idea with regards to it. It is г8ш76. I've spent so much time to, is it like gate 7, but then like 76 doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. It's just the Russian letter or the Cyrillic letter г8ш76. That's his name. And the name of the album is Часть, рассвета. So, okay, let's talk a little bit about the music, though. So, My Chemical Romance, 30 Seconds to Mars, right? That era of emo, alt-rock sound that was basically mainstream yet underground at the same time, that's kind of the energy on this record. There's a lot of that big anthem sound here, and musically it does feel like at times it is ready to move into post-rock territory. Let's be real, even the album artwork makes it feel a little bit like it should be in post-rock territory. But, yes, mainly because the guitars aren't front and center in the mixing, The music feels a bit more like it's this whole packaged product, as in you're not supposed to be focused on the separate elements, but as the music as a whole. It's kind of hard to describe. Like, once you hear it, I think you'll get it. And the album is a concept one where the songs focus on a person trying to overcome depression and accept themselves, which again kind of fits in with that general My Chemical Romance vibe, if you will. But yeah, if you were a big fan of 30 Seconds to Mars or My Chemical Romance, you'll probably find something to enjoy here. Like, the opening track does feel it's very post-rock. In fact, I kind of thought we were getting to a post-rock album when I turned it on, but it's definitely not as emo as My Chemical Romance. I probably should preface that a little bit, but probably a bit closer to indie rock at times as well. I do feel like it is further into the album. You get a little bit deeper into the album, it does kind of get to that. I don't know exactly what that sound is, or exactly how to describe this specific sound that we're hearing right now, because it is a type of rock that I feel like we are all familiar with to some degree, but if you were to somehow be asked to describe it, what makes it a specific sound, or what are some key identifiers of it? It's kind of pop rock, it's kind of alt rock, it's kind of indie rock, it's just so. A little bit of pop punk in here too. As far as I can tell, this is the first release by this artist too, so I will say it'll be interesting to see what he puts out in the future, because it does feel like he has a pretty good idea of just in general of rock as a concept, at least radio-friendly rock. He's got a pretty good grip on it, so I gotta jump ahead here because this is also a Deftones style track. More modern Deftones, but just in general, with the canoodling on the guitar and the vocals. A little bit of math rock flair in there too, but you get the idea, right? It's again, it's just a rock album, but it's a pop rock album, indie rock, kind of it's a little bit of everything. But the thing with it's just well done. I'm generally not a huge fan of those types of albums where I can't really figure out what exactly the sound is. And the sound does shift from track to track on this album, but it is well enough put together, and it's such a pleasant listen that I kind of felt like it was worth sharing. So if you like something that's a little bit more, I guess, radio rock friendly, then this is probably going to be a good choice because it's got that general overall atmosphere. So yeah, the album is "За час до рассвета," an hour to sunrise, and the artist is г8ш76. Do not know how I'm supposed to read that, but moving on. We have another album which was not really sure. It says alternative, and I guess that's probably the best way to say it. I honestly do not know what the backstory with this artist is. The artist is 1717, and the album is Поцелуи, между, барами. But I found this artist frequently discussed in rap or rap-adjacent communities online, and I'm guessing it is an example of an artist from that end of the musical spectrum migrating to another end. We have 9 tracks here, the core sound of which is the pop alt-rock. It's just like pop alt-rock. So it's alt-rock, but like a pop version of that. But there are hyper-pop elements, and there are a few guest vocals on some of the tracks, which do add in some rap elements as well. So it's not just like, there's a little bit of stylistic flexibility here. But yeah, as has been the case with releases of this nature, we've had a few of them. I honestly cannot remember the names, and that already tells you something about it. It's a light and fun listen, but it's not one that's going to stick with you in the long term. Like I said, I can think of probably 2 other albums from this year. I can picture the album artwork in my mind, but I cannot tell you the name of the artist or the name of the album. Listening to it, had fun, just enjoyable, just like a good time. So yeah, and this is another one of them. If you want something kind of dumb to bop around to for the next few days or few weeks, then this is probably going to fit the bill. Right, like it's catchy, it's hooky. The tracks are all super short too, right? It is 9 tracks long, but it is less than 20 minutes. Like realistically, I should probably call this an EP. But like, there's like a hard, kind of rock edge to a lot of the tracks, as you're hearing. Saw a lot of people online doing the whole thing. I thought it was a girl who sang the whole time. Like, that actually makes any sort of a goddamn difference. It's just funny that, like, in 2025, at least here in Russia, we're still having to, like, wait, it's not a girl singing, it's a boy singing. Like, I thought we did that with Hanson in the late 90s, but I guess not everywhere did. Here's got a little bit of the sort of like pop elements that I was talking about earlier. Got the distortion, right, with the bass drum, so. Like, I did not go back and listen to this artist's previous releases, so I don't know if this is a departure or if it's similar to their other releases, but. So yeah, is it a rock release? Yeah. I'm gonna call it a rock release because I didn't want to actually do like a pop and indie category this week, so I feel like in the same way that if you're familiar with the group Sleigh Bells, like with the heavy level of distortion. I mean, Sleigh Bells were definitely like way more rock than this, but Sleigh Bells were kind of awesome. Damn shame that they're flash in the pan. So yeah, again, it's a short album. The tracks move by fast enough, but they're catchy. And so, like I said, is this something that's gonna stick with you for a long time? Not at all. But is it something that you can turn on and just like I said, literally bop along to? Yeah, 100%. This is a great release in that regard. So yeah, the artist is 1717, and the album is Poцелуи. I'm probably saying that wrong because Поцелуи is like kiss as a command, but Поцелуи, I don't know. I'm sure I might get a little bit, but Поцелуи между барами. So like kisses between the bars. Anyway, doesn't really matter. You get the idea. Musically, that's why you're here. So moving on, we're going to actually end the rock and metal category this week, which something that I don't typically do. 2 EPs. I typically try to throw the EPs at the beginning because typically they're a little undercooked, and also because I try to focus on albums. But this week, we don't really have that many albums, and honestly, I think these EPs are better than the stuff that we've looked at thus far. I love the Deftone thing, but it's kind of derivative. Here, we have the EP Every Day is Ragnarok, and the group is, I'm going to assume it's pronounced INSANIS, which is awesome. And I love the album artwork. I feel like the album artwork is just like, it's just like, it's great. This is just like fast punk thrash sound out of Astrakhan. It's got such an old school vibe that it actually feels hella fresh, which is super contradictory, I know, but that's just how it is in 2025. While listening to this, I caught flashes of Motorhead and Iron Maiden, and I'm sure there's Judas Priest and Megadeth in there too, all sorts of other influences. It kind of just depends on your own rock and metal upbringing. If that's what you're into, you're going to find some sound of that like classic heavy metal, hard rock sound on this album. Now the group describes their sound as black and roll. And if you know that, you are going to notice the black metal influence here as well, but it's Russian music that we're discussing here, so it's kind of damn near impossible to have a metal group that is not influenced by black metal to some degree. But let me just go ahead and throw this on. Like, this feels like Iron Maiden to me, just a little bit faster, maybe a little bit more of like a punk edge. I mean, the vocals are a little bit different, but especially this part. Got the groovy section here too. So I mean, I love Iron Maiden. I got a lot of Iron Maiden energy off of this album, so, or EP, I should say. But again, that speed, the general drumming pattern that you're hearing, feels a bit more in line with punk. So, and again, the vocals, and there is a little bit going on guitar-wise that does, you can see why it might be like black a little bit. It might be just the simple speed that was giving them the Motorhead. Nah, the solos also do feel a little bit like Motorhead at times, so. So yeah, right? If you want something just like fast and fun and old school, I mean, this is it. It's a really good time. It's a very short time, but it's a really good time. Oh, there were the black metal vocals, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You get the idea. The group is INSANIS, and the EP here is Every Day is Ragnarok. So you get the idea. It's a fun time. I had a really good time with it, and it's a short listen, so yes. But I'm actually going to close out the rock and metal category this week with something that I, theoretically maybe could have at a different time, at a different week, put into the pop and indie sort of category. But that is Subботнее Сумо with their EP Субботнее, or Saturday Sumo. This is emo math rock out of Tyumen, offering us a little bit of a taste of their sound before they release a full length later this year. Obviously, the album artwork caught my attention. I think it's fantastic album artwork. For those of you who don't know, Tyumen is in Siberia. It is, if you don't know Russian geography, then me explaining it's like 4 hours to the east of Yekaterinburg doesn't really mean anything, but it's in Siberia. But yeah, the group is supposedly going to be releasing a full length in the near future. The songs here focus on avoiding getting stuck in a rut, whether that be musically, with regards to fearful emotions, or in your work routine. Musically, this is that dancey math rock sound that I've enjoyed since I was in high school. And I think the emo mixes into it kind of perfectly. So I'm just going to go ahead and... Right, there's that math rock. But the drums are kind of feeding into that dance rock energy. Probably wasn't that many, but I feel like I heard plenty of groups in the vaudeville muse that played music like this back in the early, or I guess mid-2000s, mid to late 2000s. And then... Like, I know a lot of people hate math rock, and I feel like people who exclusively listen to math rock probably are either somewhere on the spectrum or need to be, like, having sessions with a psychotherapist, but, like, I feel like it's one of those genres that when you take it in small doses is... I don't know, it's like fun. It's like dealing with fractions, because I mean, like, realistically that's what you're dealing with, but, and I know most adults hate fractions, but there is something kind of puzzling but fun about trying to figure out how, like, 3/8 fix into, I don't know, like 7/10 or something like that, right? How these things overlay with each other. So yeah, I don't know. I thought this was just a super tight 4 songs. The group came in out of nowhere. I had never heard of them before. I could barely find any information about them online. And I gotta say, I'm looking forward to their full length whenever it comes out. Maybe by the end of the year, maybe early next year, we'll see. But I also super appreciate the fact that this is, I'm pretty sure, not AI art. This looks like it's done by an actual human being. So yeah, that is the EP Субботнее, and the artist is Субботнее Сумо. And that is the end for rock and metal. And that brings us to the second half of this stream, which is going to be rap and hip-hop. So yeah, that's it. We're halfway through already. Imagine that. Our first release this week is going to be... is going to be the Mingi Tau EP, and the artist is Lasilini, I believe is how you pronounce that. This is a very short EP. Again, this is what most people would call a single, but I do want to call attention to it. This is a newer rap voice out of Nalchik. Nalchik is, and it's the first artist from that city. Nalchik, for those of you who do not know, is in the Caucasus region in the south of Russia. It's down by Azerbaijan and Armenia, down in that area, Chechnya, the far south of Russia in the Caucasus Mountains. It is the Kabardino-Balkaria region in Russia. And this is the first artist from that city and from that region I have ever encountered. So also one of those things is kind of like when you're driving across the United States and you want to like get all of the license plates. It's kind of with this stream that I'm doing, anytime I find an artist from a new area, it kind of feels like a new find. So yeah, Lasilini here, especially when they're good. I'm not going to talk about an artist if they're not good. Lasilini here is good. I enjoy this. A lot of dark atmosphere, heavy vibes. This thing just bumps hard. Lasilini only has 9 songs total on Yandex Music, but on the strength of these 3, I'm kind of hoping that he puts out an LP pretty soon. So I'm just going to jump into... like, good flow, good instrumental. And just so that you can see it's not like a one-off thing with that one specific track. I understand there's only 3 of them here, but like I said, 3 songs represents, at least in terms of Yandex Music, a third of all of his musical output, so mostly it has been singles up to this point. You know, lyrically it's fine. It's actually pretty good. It is actually pretty good, lyrically speaking, I will say as well. And that bass, like if you had a good subwoofer, it would, I'm sure it would rattle a lot of stuff around you. So yeah, that is the Mingi Tau. They have single. I'm just gonna call it an EP for my own sort of sake. And the artist is Lasilini. So yeah, again, hopefully we get to see or hear, I guess, some more out of him in the near future. Moving along, we have T-Fest. We've actually seen T-Fest earlier this year when we saw him, though. He was he had released an EP that was just like this really bright and catchy electro pop. So, yeah, he's back with his first LP in 2 years, and it is definitely not the sound that we heard earlier in this year. This is his more traditional rap style. The title, The Europe Tapes, from his album is an allusion to his recent relocation to Europe. But I would say that overall the quality in this release, if it's anything to go off of, the move has not really been a detriment to his music. Stylistically, over the 9 tracks here, we get trap, kind of some pop R&B, a little bit of the stripped down side of gangster rap. And there are some tracks, too, that do seem to lean in the direction of that electronic dance sound, or at least kind of like more pop sound that was on his EP. So, oh yeah. I had never listened to T-Fest before the EP earlier this year, so I didn't really know what to expect. But again, I was, yeah.
В темной квартире или в большом доме я не чувствую себя одним. Нахуй посторонних не плевать. Все твои монеты или обороты надеваю только что хочу. Похуй, ты ща модно, детка, мы смотрят. На всех улицах 03 всегда была только свобода. Скажи, кто тянет всю страну до сих пор в итогах года. Я не про твои каналы, где ты сделал пару сборов. Флеймы, танцы на костях без мнений. Ты слышишь, о чем я? Я хуй пойми, кто тянет. Твою мать.
So like kind of like classic gangster sound. Oh, it's actually there's a lot of there's a pretty strong 50 Cent musical reference here too. So
Твои типы это пусть типы, твои типы это киски типы, наши типы это реальные типы, наши типы не твои типы, чувак, это рэп. Кто ты такой? Говорит за нас, хули лепили, ебать ты волк, но прыгаешь на фас. Флексишь магазином в клипе Бэйби, верни все назад. Сохрани все чеки, никто не видел, чтоб ты стрелял. Ты же не стрелял, покажи себя, докажи, что чем. Говоря про все. Have mercy, пацаны на пенсии. Музыка спасла мою душу, я здесь не один.
it's a reference to Many Men by 50 Cent. 50 Cent. Jesus Christ. So like, there's a flexibility here, and I do appreciate, like, well, I mean, between last month and this month, it's like a very solid rap release, all things considered. Got a little bit more of that electro sound there in the background. Right. So, and that electro sound that he did on the EP earlier this year was just fantastic. So, hearing it kind of come up again here, maybe we'll see slightly more of a shift in that direction in the future. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but yeah. So yeah, that is the album, The Europe Tapes. The artist is T-Fest. It's stylistically a little bit all over the place, but in a good way, I guess is what I'm going to say. So, yeah, again, if you've been watching these streams for a while, then you've probably, if I were to play the EP from that he released earlier, I can just show it. You might recognize the album artwork. This was the one, right? Madonnina, and yeah, this is a very different sound from the rap sound, right? I still love this EP. I think this is phenomenal. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of a marriage between those two sounds. But regardless, the Europe Tapes I still think is a really good release, and I do not want to get too sidetracked by what he has put out before. So, yes. Anyway, moving along, we have the album Один, and the artist here is Kazak. This is slow, jazzy, soulful hip-hop that often feels like it is more of the early descriptors, the slow, jazzy, and soul end of things more than the hip-hop end of things. There are live instruments on the tracks. It's a type of music that feels like it would be the musical entertainment for the evening in a super trendy, like kind of hipster nightclub with overpriced cocktails. And I do not mean that to be an offhanded insult. This is just like super chill music. And even though the lyrical content can be kind of serious, it never really feels depressing. Like this album artwork of just sitting in the sort of like sun chair. I mean, granted, there are crutches behind him and stuff like that. So again, right, it's one of those things where the album art, I think, does a pretty good job of setting the tone. It's very chill, it's very relaxed, but things are not as great as they may be seen on first impression. But it's musically just such a good release.
Причины желать, прогоняю печаль, опеняю теперь на себя. Чуть устал, не беда, время двойная игра. Я приду не спеша, я вернусь не торопясь. По посадочным огням, только дай мне пробежать. По лесам и по горам, по неведомым тропам. Через запад на закат, вне бурлящего котла. Я лечу, тихо над землей, тихо над землей, над землей.
Got a little bit of that like R&B sort of energy too.
Кто-то считает, что достойнее, кто-то другой. Будет момент, спроси у этих.
Definitely not the same, but it reminded me a lot of Sultan, which was a group from the first quarter, like I think February or March this year. But in sort of different proportions, where Sultan was a lot more of the funk and instrumental thing with a little bit of rapping. This is a lot of more rapping with the funk and soul instrumentals behind it. Like obviously this is not super uncommon in the rap community either, but it's not super common in the rap community, but it's also not unheard of in the rap community, especially like in the West for sure, right? But like it's still not super common regardless. And I feel like that when you have an artist or a group that balances the rap and hip-hop with the actual instrumental end of things, like the Roots. Why do people like the Roots so much? Because like it's kind of balanced in that way.
Велосипеде и в очках, а время бьет там-тут, тик-так, тук-тук, но это конструкт, мама мия, как так, все лгут, лес рук, это мои люди, с ними в этих джунглях я не пропаду, с ними в океане до лагуны дуют, трогая волну. Все опять пройдет, кто бы ни говорил, мы не меняем курс.
Yeah, that kind of like flute sound here on this track. So. And again, I get like probably quite a few of you out there who might be seeing this video or stream or whatever don't understand Russian. So the lyrics just kind of act as another instrument on top of it. And at that point in time, you can just kind of take this as it is. But yeah, I think this has got some great energy coming out in the late summer. I also think is a perfect time for it. The album is один, which is not alone or not one. And the artist is Kazak. So, and then there are two. And on any other week, this album probably would have taken the top spot. This is Спокойной ночи, малыши, Часть третья, or Good Night, Children, Part 3. The artist is SLIMUS. Though Part 3 is not as strong as last year's Part 2, at least in terms of storytelling. This is the final of 3 albums in a trilogy that have been released pretty much one every year by the former Center artist. And it kind of finds him spinning tales from the Russian rap game and life here in the country by and large, especially in Moscow. And honestly, SLIMUS's attention to storytelling, Спокойной ночи, малыши, Часть вторая, had some phenomenal, just fantastic tracks where it was like, I remember last year listening to it and thinking it was like he was standing in front of an apartment building and he had some sort of like superhuman vision where he could somehow see all of the little vignettes of life in the outskirts of Moscow, right? And like all of the joys and tribulations that go on there. And that is still present here. He does such a good job of like kind of finding those little moments and little pictures, in my opinion. But, and then obviously too, there is but there are not overt, obviously, but there are a lot of references to the country as it has changed or how it is now that the war is going on.
Капусту нужно стричь без стримера, как стримеры. Мы динозавры, что еще не вымерли. Чужого мне не надо, как у Ридли с Рипли. Новинки разлетаются, будто дубайские шоколадные плитки. Меня сюда не двигал Диди, я не Кимберли. И с этим рэпом из инстика меня чуть не выперли. И наши бенгеры писать теперь стало опаснее. Но даже родниковая вода течет по грязи. Ну я на связи, а страх это блюдо с подливой. Под песенки сопливые. Гирлянды по капоту блики, модные олимпийки, но в карманах дырки. Только Бог ответит, сколько там в копилке. Там в конце двора, не глуши машину. Если есть слова, то косарь от шина.
For those of you who do not know either, it is a reference.
Много всего на столах, и дымились шины.
It's a reference to a popular Russian children's television show, Спокойной ночи, малыши, with Пятачок and the rabbit. So you can see here too, it's got the dog, right? The rabbit.
Оказалось, мы все можем. Под солнцем мало места кружит воронье. Зашумит район, где б найти свое. Отвези туда ковер, самолет. Это не слезы по щекам ее, а дождик льет. Под солнцем мало места кружит воронье. Джокер, я щелкну крышкой зипа. На заднице ожоги. Таких легенд тут много, мне говорила мама. Смотри, мама, на медне валит из Тайкана. Блинк-блинк, на минус по старинке. Блинк-блинк, веселые картинки.
It's probably not SLIMUS's strongest work. Like I said, the second part, in my opinion, was a better release. However, it is one of those where it's like, as I have listened to this more,
Кто-то скажет, что мы не те, кто-то скажет, я давно хотел их слышать на одном бите.
it's one of those where like when you can get into the lyrics, it definitely is a lot obviously more enjoyable. That's kind of the thing with hip hop and rap, right?
Бывало тоже не туда сворачивал. Не люблю понты, но под жопой нормальная тачка. Люблю на куртках патчи, люблю едкие панчи. Если наизнанку душу выворачивают, если рядом настоящая, пусть и не девочка пай, а не те, что...
It also has quite a bit of that classic rap sound, I guess, is what I would say. And I mean, in 2025, I gotta point that out and kind of
Открою последнюю дверь и выйду стильно. Заправь за мной белье постельное. Небо в пастельных тонах. Вечер ложится на дома, как на прыщи тонак. Я в пижамных штанах на микро. Тонкий, скользкий тип, прости. Я не спросил, можно ли войти. Я просто взял и вошел в твою комнату. Трояном влетел прямо с торрентов. Медведь олимпийский над городом. Пока цены растут, как доллар на Форексе. Хотел длинно, но вышло, бля, коротко. Я не черный, но...
So yeah, that is the artist SLIMUS, and the album is Спокойной ночи, малыши, Часть, третья. Or Good Night Children, Part 3, the final part of his trilogy. And that brings us to the final album this week, probably the biggest release of the week, and it is the album Mayday, and the artist is Maybe Bäйbi. I'm not going to try to pronounce that in Russian. Maybe Bäйbi. I don't know. Like I can't do it. I'm too much of an English speaker to actually maybe Bäйbi. It still ends up sounding appropriate. So now this is not actually a Russian artist per se. Maybe Bäйbi is actually from Belarus. So, but yeah, it doesn't matter. She does her music in Russian, her rapping in Russian. And this is going to probably maybe be an unpopular take. I guess it would be if like a lot of people online saw this, but I think this is a good album. It's not life-changing. It's not going to be a top-of-the-year type of album. But ultimately, it is a female pop rap album. And while it doesn't have the bite of Maybe Bäйbi's recent Instasamka disses, there's been some like beef in the female rap community here, which is as niche as that might sound. There's probably like 4 female rappers, maybe, right? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. While this doesn't have the same edge as Maybe Bäйbi, like the artist's recent disses, it's got lyrically quite a few decent punches in here, but realistically this isn't supposed to be like true to the streets or whatever. I saw this described somewhere online as somewhere between Cardi B and Dora. Now Dora is a popular Russian artist who actually appears on this album too, and she's kind of like, or at least in the past she was kind of cute pop, cute rock. So I kind of like Cardi B and cute rock, right? Somewhere in the middle, where it is a little bit taboo, but also generally, this is the, I guess I would say is like, this is the, in the United States, we have PG-13 and R. In Russia, they have 16 plus, and then like adults only. So this is like the 16 plus. It's a little bit edgy, but it's not like super gratuitous. And that's fine. I think that's perfect, right? If you go online and you look about Maybe Bäйbi and this album, Mayday, you're going to see just a ton of hate poured out in comment sections over this release. And most of the complaints are about it being too auto-tuned, too focused on money and status, too clean, as in like not gratuitous or sharp enough against other people, or how about the artist used to be better. But judging by the fact that the vast majority of people who were saying these things are like online internet men, I'm going to assume that there is a large part of that hate that is connected to latent sexism, and also to the fact that Maybe Bäйbi is, let's be real, she's a big star in Russia these days. She is a pretty recognizable name, all things considered, especially in a certain age segment. And it's pretty easy and trendy to hate on things that are new and big and popular, right? Realistically speaking, most people do not know what Maybe Bäйbi sounded like in the past, or what she even released in the past. And even if they do, it doesn't really mean that much to them. So all of those, I think, complaints are unbased. The complaints about auto-tuning or lyrical content, they also don't really make any sense when you think about the positioning of this album. And also how many male rappers do it, and it's completely fine. It doesn't even matter. Is this a pop or a rap album? It's not completely clear anyway. Long story short, most of the hate that I think is directed towards this album is just the fact that it is a young female rapper or pop artist, whatever you want to call her, who is Belarusian. I think that might also have something to do with it. She definitely has a very unusual look to her as well. And I think that's basically it, because most of the complaints that you see about it really, I don't think, stand up. So yeah. Is it pop? Is it rap? It's a little bit of both. And that's kind of why I think it's a good place to end out. It's probably the biggest release that we had this last week. And I think it's one of those albums where you just need to relax, stop taking yourself seriously, and just enjoy it. Like, this is a pop song, right? And it's a very good pop song. Even vocally, it does sound a little bit like, maybe a little bit like Cardi B or Nicki Minaj. I don't know. I mean, obviously not exactly the same, but so here we have the auto-tune, but like, it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. Like, this is just a little bit of everything. Like, there's definitely a huge hyperpop influence here, and I'm not a Maybe Baby fan. I don't know her backstory all that deep. I know she's been around for a number of years now, but I do feel like, if I remember correctly, she did also get her start in the hyperpop / cute pop end of things. So, like, tracks like this kind of also make sense. And like the first track, Money Over Boys, like obviously is a reference to a very popular hip-hop term, right? Money over bitches. And it, like, I guess there are some people who could hate this, but if you actually, there's a music video out there for this. And if you actually watch the music video, there are like so many references to hip-hop pop culture. Specifically, there's a massive reference to Don't Be a Menace, which I feel like in 2025 is such a deep dive for somebody who was clearly not alive when that film came out. Hell, I was alive, but I was not like really cognizant of that film when it came out. So for somebody who is, you know, markedly younger than me, I gotta say props to that too. So yeah, I don't know. I think all things considered, this is a good album. It's a really good album. I'm not gonna say it's like a great album. I'm not going to say that this is an album I'm going to like knowingly come back to, or at least regularly come back to. But I think it's one of those albums where if somebody said that they like really loved this album and they had a good time with it, I would not have any questions about that. Honestly, lyrically too, it's not bad. Also, I have to give this album like massive points here for LSP on this track. Kind of sounds like the Postal Service, so I'm just gonna like jump ahead a little bit. So we got kind of like a weird rap, electro pop thing here. Tell me this isn't the Postal Service. Like that's Ben Gifford. So, I don't know. The fact that, like, I don't know if that was done intentionally or the artist has never heard of the Postal Service before, but the fact that this feels so much, especially in this part of, like, the Postal Service.
Абсолютно пуст, лишь призраки барменов тлеют. По хайболам грусть, то время не вернуть. Давай уедем в новый клуб, клуб, где нас все ждут.
Alright, one last taste here since this is the final.
Чел, ты подходишь, типа ты крутой чел. Типа ты из клуба заберешь меня домой, чел. Все, чел, ты забыл подумать головой, чел. Мой чел круче, чем вообще любой другой чел. Он уже заблочен, разговор закончен. Разгонюсь на треке, Мэйби автогонщик. Дорогие строчки, свежая как дойчи. Дорогие строчки, Фэнди или Дольчи. Стой, ста, снова забирая, это стоит знать. Если недоволен тебе,
argue about whether or not it's like the deepest lyrics or the smartest and most clever punchlines, but like to pretend like she can't rap is also kind of beside the point. And I feel like I don't know if this tends to be the case as much anymore in the States, but I feel like hyperfixation on the level of a female rapper's lyrical proficiency tends to be a bit higher than it would be for her male counterparts. I don't know. 'Cause I've heard far worse lines from male rappers who are, I don't know, lauded nonstop. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Mayday by Maybe Baby was probably the biggest release this week, and I think rightfully so. I think that there was a lot here that is actually like good and interesting, and it strikes a nice balance between rap and pop music for an artist who I think for most of her career has kind of been quite flexible when it comes to genre. So yeah, that's it. That does it for us. Yeah, it was kind of a short week. Like I said, I had gotten through not most. Who am I kidding? I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 albums currently in my playlist. Now, to be fair, I have listened to a few of them, and I feel like probably at least 5 of them I can easily get rid of. But I think August is actually going to be a bit of a slower month, just in the sense that, people are on holidays. In Russia, June is the start of the summer, but people are still kind of in work mode. It's like when things are slowing down. July and August are this like 50-50 time, but I feel like the vast majority of people disappear more into August. So I'm assuming that towards the end of the month, we'll probably see some more releases, but it does kind of feel, again, based on music communities that I follow online, it does kind of feel like this tomorrow actually is going to be kind of quiet when it comes to releases, but we'll see. Honestly, again, like I said, it wouldn't be a huge problem if I only have 9 to 10 releases each week for the next month. Then I don't think anyone is going to, I don't know, suffer because of it. We've had a lot of good stuff in the past so far this year. There's actually a lot of music that I would love to have the time to go back and spend some more time with. So I'm probably gonna I actually have my my playlists for the sort of second quarter of the year drawn up. I know I say this like pretty much every week, but I've got I think I hate editing, so I've got the one of the best recap music videos, like a recap of the best music, one of those videos coming up in the near future. So yeah, if you don't tune into the streams all that often, you'll get that. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up because we got through this relatively quickly, and that is an unusual thing, and I'm going to take advantage of that and just spend the rest of the evening probably listening to some of the other music on the playlist, so then I can get an early start for next week. And who knows, maybe I'll actually have listened to everything that I have found for the month of August by this time next week. Probably not, but one can dream, can they not? So yeah, everyone have a good evening or a good afternoon, whatever the time of the day it is. I will be back next Thursday at 10 p.m. to do more of the music. I'll be back on Sunday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. Moscow time. There's always Moscow times for anyone who is interested in kind of hearing a little bit of what the news is focused on here in Russia. But yeah, you all take care of yourselves. I will see you when I see you. And until then, as is always the case, пока-пока. Gotta find the end button.